What if everything you've ever desired is already making its way to you, waiting only for your stillness? The law of stillness unveils the mystical path to effortless creation. As you listen, you'll discover how to attract your desires through the sacred power of being, not doing. The Stillness Law. Introduction. In the eternal dance of creation, there exists a force so subtle yet so potent that its mere recognition can transform the fabric of your reality. This force, the law of stillness, stands as the foundation upon which all other universal laws rest, yet it remains largely unknown to those who seek abundance through constant motion. The universe speaks in whispers, not shouts. Its greatest gifts unfold not in the clamor of action, but in the sacred space of stillness. Within you resides a wellspring of infinite potential, waiting not to be forced into existence but to be allowed to emerge through the power of conscious stillness. This ancient wisdom has been preserved through millennia, passed down by those who understood that true power lies not in doing, but in being. The law of stillness reveals that when you cease the endless pursuit and rest in quiet awareness, you align with the very current of creation itself. Think of a clear mountain lake. Its surface, when undisturbed, becomes a perfect mirror, reflecting the heavens above with pristine clarity. So too does your mind, when stilled, reflect the divine intelligence that orchestrates all of existence. In this reflection lies your power to manifest, to create, to transform. The law of stillness teaches that manifestation flows not from perpetual action, but from perfect alignment. When you learn to be still, you become like the eye of a storm, peaceful amid chaos, powerful in repose. From this center point of tranquility, you gain access to the infinite intelligence that governs all creation. This is not a teaching of passivity, but of supreme receptivity. In stillness, you become a clear channel through which the universe can work its magic. Your desires need not be forced into being through endless striving. Instead, they are drawn to you naturally, effortlessly, through your alignment with the silent power that underlies all things. The law of stillness is your birthright, a forgotten inheritance waiting to be reclaimed. Through its application, you will discover that what you seek has been seeking you all along, waiting only for you to become still enough to receive it. Part 1. The Awakening of Stillness. Chapter 1. The Whisper Beneath All Things. In the depths of an ancient forest, a traveler named Eliza wandered without direction. The dense canopy above blocked even the guiding light of the stars, and each step forward seemed to lead her further from her path. Exhausted and frightened, she finally ceased her desperate movement, collapsing against the trunk of an aged oak. In that moment of surrender, as her racing heart slowly calmed, something extraordinary happened. The forest, which had seemed so empty and silent, began to speak. First came the subtle rhythm of dewdrops falling from leaf to leaf. Then the gentle stirring of underground streams beneath her feet. The whispered songs of night birds, the soft rustling of small creatures, and the deep, slow breathing of the trees themselves. All had been there, waiting for her stillness to perceive them. Through this sacred pause, Eliza discovered that what appeared as emptiness was actually fullness beyond measure. The guidance she sought had always surrounded her. She had only been too busy moving to receive it. In this truth lies the first key to understanding the law of stillness. The universe speaks continuously, offering direction, wisdom, and abundance. Yet its voice cannot be heard amid the chaos of constant motion. When you cease the endless doing, you enter the realm of infinite being where all possibilities exist in perfect form. Consider now the tale of Walter, whose garden taught him the deepest secrets of creation. Year after year, he toiled endlessly, fighting against nature's rhythm with his own plans and timing. His flowers withered, his fruits fell unripe, until one winter, illness forced him to abandon his constant labor. As he watched through his window during those quiet months, Walter witnessed a miracle. In the apparent emptiness of winter, his garden underwent an invisible transformation. When spring arrived, plants emerged stronger than ever before, following a design far more beautiful than any he could have planned. The wisdom in Walter's experience mirrors your own journey of manifestation. In the seemingly empty spaces, the quiet moments between your desires and their fulfillment, the most powerful creation occurs. Like seeds beneath winter soil, your intentions take root and gather strength in silence. Now you are invited to embrace this ancient practice of sacred listening. Each morning, as the world awakens, find a quiet space where you will remain undisturbed. Sit comfortably and allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. For 5 minutes, simply be present with whatever arises in your consciousness. Make no attempt to control your thoughts or direct your experience. Like Eliza in the forest, allow the wisdom that surrounds you to make itself known. In this practice, you align with the creative force that has guided all great manifestations throughout time. Through your stillness, you become a clear vessel through which the universe can pour its abundance. Chapter 2. The Myth of Movement. In a bustling village workshop, a young blacksmith named Clara hammered relentlessly at her anvil. Sweat glistened on her brow as she worked through the night, racing to complete a nobleman's sword commission. Her movements grew more frenzied with each passing hour, the metal refusing to yield to her will. As dawn approached, an old woman appeared at her door, silent and still as stone. "Your fire burns too hot, child," the woman whispered, her presence commanding attention despite her quietude. "The metal speaks, but you cannot hear it through your haste." The universal law reveals itself through such moments of grace. When you cease the endless doing, you discover that achievement flows not from action alone, but from the quality of your presence. In your stillness lies a power greater than all your striving. Think of how a flower blooms, not through effort, but through alignment with the natural rhythm of growth. Your desires manifest in much the same way. When you release the grip of constant motion, you allow the universe to move through you with perfect timing and wisdom. The illusion that haunts many souls is that doing equals achieving. Yet look closely at nature. The mighty oak grows not by forcing its branches skyward, but by standing rooted in sacred stillness, allowing life force to flow through its being. This is the way of manifestation, not through endless activity, but through aligned presence. There lived a fisherman named Thomas who cast his nets day after day in turbulent waters, returning each evening with empty boats and tired arms. One dawn, exhausted, he allowed his boat to drift into a quiet cove. There, in waters so still they mirrored the sky, he discovered schools of fish swimming peacefully beneath the surface. In surrendering his constant movement, he found the abundance that had eluded his efforts. You too hold this wisdom within. When you release the compulsion to force outcomes through endless action, you open yourself to receive what has been waiting all along. The universe responds not to your doing, but to your being. For your evening practice, find a quiet moment as the day draws to a close. Sit comfortably and imagine gathering all your tasks, worries, and striving into a gentle bundle. See yourself placing this bundle at the feet of the universe with complete trust. Feel the relief as you release the weight of constant doing. Let your breath become soft and regular, knowing that in this surrender, you align with the infinite wisdom that guides all things to their perfect fulfillment. Chapter 3: The Invisible Source. In the quiet hills beyond the village, Harold's workshop stood as a testament to determination. Each morning he would attack his wooden blocks with fierce intensity, willing beauty to emerge through sheer force. His hands, calloused and weary, gripped his tools as weapons rather than instruments of creation. You see, the universe speaks through your hands when you surrender to its guidance. Harold discovered this truth one autumn evening when, exhausted from his struggles, he simply held his chisel lightly and closed his eyes. At that moment, something shifted. The wood seemed to whisper its secrets, guiding his hands in a dance of creation he had never known before. This wisdom echoes through the ages. The source flows not through tension, but through release. When you cease forcing outcomes, you become a clear channel for divine creativity. Your role is not to make things happen, but to allow them to unfold through you. Think of yourself as a musical instrument. When tightly strung, your notes come out sharp and strained. But when perfectly tuned and played with gentle touch, you create harmony with the universe's symphony. In a small schoolhouse by the meadow, Abigail faced her own revelation about the power of stillness. Day after day, she had filled every moment with instruction, believing more teaching meant more learning. Until one morning when laryngitis forced her into silence. As she sat quietly observing, her students began to shine with natural curiosity and wisdom. In the space of her silence, their understanding blossomed. Just as Abigail's students flourished in the quiet, you too will find your greatest teachings in moments of receptivity. The universe is always speaking, not in shouts, but in whispers that only a still heart can hear. Sacred practice. Each morning, as the world awakens, find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Let this become your sacred sanctuary, a place where heaven and earth meet in perfect harmony. Sit in stillness for 10 minutes, holding just one question in your heart. Do not chase answers or analyze thoughts. This only creates ripples in the pond of your consciousness. Simply rest in the knowing that wisdom comes when the mind grows quiet, like a bird alighting on still waters. Let the universe speak through the silence and trust that what you need to know will arise naturally, like dew forming on morning grass. In this practice of sacred stillness, you align with the ancient rhythm of creation itself, allowing divine wisdom to flow through you as naturally as breath flows through your body. Chapter 4: The Noise of the World. The Silence of Power. In the heart of a bustling metropolis where sirens wailed and voices competed for attention, Nathaniel stood before his congregation each Sunday, his powerful sermons echoing through ancient stone walls. His words had always been his strength, his gift to the world. Until one morning, they vanished. You know that moment when your greatest tool is stripped away, when what you believed defined you disappears. This was Nathaniel's awakening. As he stood before his people, throat raw and silent, terror gripped him. Yet in that sacred pause, something extraordinary unfolded. Without words to hide behind, Nathaniel's presence grew stronger. His congregation began to feel rather than hear his message. His silent prayers carried more weight than his most eloquent speeches ever had. Through his stillness, the divine spoke directly to hearts. This reveals an eternal truth. True power needs no amplification. Like the force that moves planets in their orbits or draws flowers toward the sun, The most profound influences in our universe operate in perfect silence. When you release the need to fill space with sound, you allow the universe to speak through you. In the quiet hills of Vermont, Mildred sat at her piano, frustrated by hours of repetitive practice. Her fingers had memorized every note, yet something was missing. One evening, exhausted, she simply sat with her hands hovering above the keys. In that moment, between the notes she'd played countless times, she heard it. The music that had always been there, waiting in the silence. What Mildred discovered mirrors your own journey. The spaces between, the pauses you fear, the silences you rush to fill. These are the moments when divine inspiration flows most purely. Like a vessel being filled, your emptiness becomes your greatest asset. Sacred practice. Choose 1 hour each week as your time of sacred silence. Create a space free from external noise. No phones, no music, no conversation. Simply be present. Let your thoughts settle like leaves on still water. Notice how wisdom begins to rise when you stop drowning it out with noise. This is not meditation. It is communion with the infinite silence that holds all creation. In this practice, you're not seeking anything. You're allowing everything to find you. As you embrace these silent hours, watch how the universe begins speaking to you in ways that transcend words. Chapter 5. The Sage Who Sat Still. In the mists of ancient mountains where wisdom dwells in the very air you breathe, there lived a man named Everett. His weathered chair sat on a simple wooden porch, facing east where the sun first touches the earth. Those who made the journey up the winding path found him there, still as the mountain itself, eyes bright with an inner light that spoke of mysteries known only to those who have learned to be truly present. You see, Everett never offered advice. He prescribed no remedies. He simply sat, allowing those who came to rest in the field of his presence. And in that space of pure being, miracles bloomed like wildflowers after rain. The sick found health, the troubled found peace, the lost found direction, all through the power of his unwavering stillness. When you understand this truth, you grasp one of the universe's most sacred principles. Transformation requires no action. Just as the moon pulls tides without lifting a finger, your aligned presence shifts the energy of every space you inhabit. You become a living channel through which the divine flows unobstructed. In a busy hospital ward, Lucy discovered this same truth. For years, she had rushed between patients, dispensing medications and changing bandages with efficient precision. But one night, sitting with a patient who could not sleep, she noticed something extraordinary. As she simply remained present, breathing quietly, the patient's anxiety melted away. Soon other nurses noticed that patients in Lucy's care healed faster, rested better, worried less. Her secret? She had learned to be still. This power dwells within you now. When you release the need to fix, to change, to heal, when you simply allow yourself to be present, you become a lighthouse of peace in a stormy world. Your stillness creates a sanctuary where others can remember their own connection to Source. The practice of still presence. Find a place where others gather, a park bench, a waiting room, even your own living room with a family present. Choose a spot where you can remain undisturbed yet fully present with those around you. Sit quietly, breathing naturally, allowing each breath to anchor you more deeply in the moment. Make no effort to help or change anything. Your only task is to exist in perfect stillness, like a mountain unmoved by passing clouds. Simply allow your inner peace to radiate outward like sunlight through clear glass, touching all it encounters without force or intention. Notice how the space around you begins to shift, how others unconsciously align with your frequency of stillness, drawn to the silent sanctuary of your presence. Watch as tension dissolves, voices soften, and a gentle calm descends upon the space. This is divine transmission in its purest form, the natural overflow of peace from a vessel that remains perfectly still. Chapter 6. The Law Behind the Laws. In the depths of an ancient library, Jacob pored over scrolls and sacred texts, his mind a storehouse of spiritual wisdom. Yet despite his vast knowledge of universal laws, his attempts at manifestation remained fruitless. His prayers echoed back empty, his intentions scattered like leaves in the wind. Until one day, guided by what seemed mere chance, he found himself at the door of a simple cabin in the woods. Within dwelled Ruth, a woman whose presence carried the weight of mountains and the lightness of morning mist. She spoke little, yet every silence held meaning. As Jacob recited his understanding of spiritual principles, she simply smiled and gestured for him to sit. "You seek to master the laws," she said softly, "but have you allowed them to master you?" In the days that followed, Ruth taught Jacob not through words but through presence. She showed him how the laws of the universe operate like water, not through force, but through yielding. In stillness, Jacob began to feel what his studies could never teach, the living pulse of creation itself. You too may have filled your mind with knowledge of manifestation, attraction, and spiritual alignment. Yet true power lies not in what you know, but in your capacity to be still enough to let these laws work through you. When you surrender your need to control the process, you become the process itself. Consider young Penny, whose story mirrors that of many seekers. She could recite every spiritual law with perfect accuracy, kept her vibration high, and practiced visualization with dedicated precision. Yet abundance remained elusive, like a butterfly that refuses to land on an outstretched hand. It wasn't until she stopped trying, truly stopped, that the universe began to move through her. One morning, sitting in her garden with no intention other than to be present, Penny felt something shift within. The laws she had studied so diligently began to operate of their own accord, as naturally as breath. Her manifestations arrived not through effort, but through allowing. This is the secret hidden in plain sight. Stillness is not just another spiritual law. It is the foundation upon which all other laws rest. Like the silence between musical notes that gives them meaning, stillness is the space where all manifestation takes root. The sacred practice: create a stillness altar in your home, a small, dedicated space that serves as your gateway to the unseen. Place upon it objects that represent the void of infinite possibility: a clear crystal, an empty bowl, a white candle. This space needs no elaborate decoration. Its power lies in its simplicity. Each day, sit before your altar in complete surrender, allowing the laws of the universe to work through you rather than by you. Let this space become your reminder that in stillness all things are possible. Chapter 7. Unlearning the Chase. In the rolling hills beyond the village, young Franklin spent his days pursuing a white rabbit that seemed to taunt him with its presence. Each morning he would spot it nibbling clover near the forest's edge, and each morning he would give chase. No matter how swift his feet or clever his strategy, the rabbit remained forever beyond his grasp. You have known this chase. You have felt its exhaustion in your bones as you pursue that which seems to dance forever at the edge of your reach. Like Franklin, you may have believed that if only you ran faster, tried harder, or wanted more intensely, your desires would finally yield to your determination. Yet the universe operates by different laws than those of pursuit and capture. When Franklin finally collapsed one morning, too weary to continue his endless chase, something remarkable occurred. As he lay still in the grass, breathing in surrender, the white rabbit approached him of its own accord, settling quietly beside him as though it had been waiting all along for this moment of stillness. This truth extends into every corner of your existence. That which you chase will forever elude you, while that which you allow will naturally flow toward you. Your desires are not prizes to be won through effort, but gifts to be received through alignment. Watch now as Eloise takes the stage. A lifetime of training had taught her that dance meant constant motion, that value lay in the intricacy of movement. Yet one evening, when the music began, she remained motionless. In that perfect stillness, she held the audience spellbound. They leaned forward in their seats, drawn by the magnetic power of her presence. In doing nothing, she accomplished everything. Through Eloise's stillness, you glimpse a profound truth. The power to attract lies not in movement but in presence. When you cease the endless dance of trying to prove your worth, you naturally draw life toward you. Like a still pond that reflects the moon in perfect clarity, your unmoving presence becomes a mirror for divine grace. The ancient practice passed down through generations invites you now to release what you hold most dear. Take a piece of paper and write a letter to your deepest desire. Pour into it all your longing, all your striving, all your need to make it happen. Then, in a sacred ceremony, burn this letter or bury it in the earth. This ritual symbolizes your trust that what is truly meant for you will find its way through the power of your stillness. As you perform this sacred act of surrender, know that you are joining countless seekers who have walked this path before you. Feel the weight lifting from your shoulders as the paper transforms to ash or merges with soil. In this moment of letting go, you create space for divine grace to enter. The universe responds not to desperate grasping, but to the magnetic power of peaceful acceptance. Trust that your heartfelt desires are already known to the infinite wisdom that guides all things. Through this ritual of release, you demonstrate your faith in perfect timing and divine order. Chapter 8: The Still Point Within. In a small workshop lined with timepieces, James crafted and repaired clocks of every size. Each day he lived surrounded by their relentless ticking, hundreds of mechanical hearts beating in discordant rhythm. The sound had once brought him comfort, but as the years passed, the endless ticking began to fragment his thoughts, scattering his peace like autumn leaves in a storm. You too know this discord, the ceaseless noise of life's demands, each one calling for attention, each one marking time's passage with increasing urgency. Like James, you may feel surrounded by countless rhythms that pull you in different directions, until your own heartbeat becomes lost in the chaos. Yet within every soul exists a point of perfect quiet, a sacred center where time itself seems to pause. James discovered this truth one winter morning when a power outage silenced every clock in his shop. In that unexpected stillness, he felt something awaken, an internal rhythm that had always been there, waiting to be remembered. This internal metronome is your birthright. It beats in perfect harmony with the universe's own pulse, unaffected by external chaos. When you align with this inner rhythm, the outer world begins to mirror your calm, arranging itself around your center rather than scattering your energy to the winds. Consider now the tale of Violet, a woman who had spent years gathering wisdom and knowledge. One day, faced with a crucial moment, Every carefully collected truth fled from her mind. In her panic, she grasped desperately for answers but found only growing confusion. It was only when she closed her eyes, releasing her grip on remembered wisdom, that peace returned, and with it, everything she had forgotten. The stillness you seek has never left you. It flows beneath your thoughts, beyond your worries, carrying the same silence that existed before time began. Like Violet, you need not accumulate stillness or search for it in distant places. It awaits within, constant as the space between heartbeats. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed and settle into a comfortable position, whether seated or lying down. Place one hand gently on your belly, connecting you to your physical center. Begin to breathe deeply and mindfully. Inhale slowly for 4 counts, feeling your belly expand beneath your hand like a wave rising. Hold this sacred breath for 4 counts, sensing the profound stillness within your being. Then exhale completely for 4 counts, releasing all tension and worldly concerns. Continue this sacred rhythm. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, until you feel your inner tempo naturally align with the universe's eternal pulse. Let each breath become a bridge between your conscious mind and the infinite wisdom that dwells within. As you maintain this practice, you will discover that each cycle brings you closer to the timeless peace that has always resided in your heart. Chapter 9. Receiving is Remembering. In a dusty study filled with blank chapters, George sat before his writing desk, pen hovering above paper. For years he had chased words like butterflies, trying to capture their beauty through force of will. Yet the more he pursued them, the more they eluded his grasp until his once flowing verses dried into empty phrases. You recognize this pursuit, the striving to create what seems just beyond reach. Like George, you may have forgotten that true inspiration flows not from effort, but from receptivity. One evening, as shadows lengthened across his desk, George set down his pen. In that moment of surrender, something shifted. The silence spoke, and words began to pour through him like a river finding its ancient course. He realized he had never needed to write the poetry. He needed only to become still enough to receive it. This truth lies at the heart of all manifestations. What you seek is not waiting to be created, it waits to be remembered. The universe holds your desires not as distant possibilities, but as present realities obscured only by the noise of seeking. In a distant village, Margaret climbed the narrow stairs to her attic, searching for something she couldn't name. There, beneath years of dust, stood an ornate chest she had forgotten. As she opened its creaking lid, she found treasures she thought lost forever: her grandmother's locket, her father's watch, letters from her youth. Each item had been there all along, waiting in the quiet darkness. Your abundance mirrors Margaret's chest. It has never left you. In the stillness of surrender, you rediscover what forgetfulness has hidden. Every desire you hold exists already within the silence of your being, waiting for recognition. Sacred practice. Memory activation meditation. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed, a sanctuary where the world's clamor cannot reach you. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, allowing each breath to carry you deeper into stillness. Imagine ascending a spiral staircase within your consciousness, each step taking you closer to sacred remembrance. At the top, you discover a room filled with soft, golden light that seems to pulse with ancient wisdom. In its center stands an ornate chest, weathered by time yet radiating power. As you approach, feel the anticipation building in your heart, knowing you stand at the threshold of revelation. Open the chest slowly, reverently, allowing each item you discover to represent an aspect of abundance you've forgotten, dormant talents, abandoned dreams, untapped possibilities that have always been yours. Hold each one in your hands, recognizing it as an ever-present part of your divine nature. Some may appear as shimmering jewels, others as scrolls of forgotten wisdom, each a reflection of your infinite potential. Let the knowledge settle into your bones. Nothing needs to be chased. Everything waits within the sacred vault of your being, ready to be reclaimed. Chapter 10. When the soul is silent, the universe sings. Along the banks of a winding river where willows dipped their branches into crystal waters, sat Clyde. For 30 years, his mind had echoed with memories of conflict, drowning out the world's natural rhythms. Yet this morning, as mist rose from the water's surface, something shifted within him. You too carry noise within, the clamor of past experiences, future worries, and present struggles. Like Clyde, you may have forgotten how to hear the universe's ever-present song. As Clyde watched the river's steady flow, the internal chaos that had defined his existence began to still. First he noticed the water's gentle murmur. Then birdsong filtered through the leaves. Soon the wind's whisper joined nature's orchestra. In that sacred moment, he realized that peace had never left. He had simply been too loud inside to perceive it. When the soul falls silent, the universe begins its symphony. This is not mere poetic truth, but a fundamental law of existence. Your inner noise acts as a barrier, blocking the cosmic melodies that perpetually play around you. As you quiet the mind's constant commentary, you open yourself to the divine broadcast that never ceases. In a small cottage across town, Lillian sat in her late husband's favorite chair. For months after his passing, she had tried to outrun grief through constant activity. But true healing found her only when she stopped running. In the stillness of her garden, watching butterflies dance among the flowers he had planted, joy didn't return. It revealed itself as having never left. This reveals a profound truth. What you seek through movement often awaits in stillness. Joy, peace, and abundance are not distant destinations, but present realities, accessible when internal resistance dissolves. The evening practice before you is ancient and simple. As darkness embraces the day, find a quiet space. Sit without agenda, without seeking answers or solutions. Let your presence be enough. In this sacred pause, the universe speaks not in words but in the language of being. Through this daily ritual, you align with the silent current that moves all things. For 20 minutes, release the need to understand or achieve. Simply be. Notice how, in this space of pure presence, something shifts, not through effort, but through surrender. Let your breath flow naturally, neither controlled nor forgotten. As thoughts arise, acknowledge them like passing clouds, neither grasping nor pushing away. In this sacred stillness, you may discover that wisdom flows not from mental striving, but from the depths of your own being where truth has always resided, waiting patiently for your return. Part 2, Dwelling in the Sacred Pause. Chapter 11, The Space Between Desires. In a small workshop filled with the gentle whir of a sewing machine, Virginia stitched through the night. Her fingers, worn from countless hours of work, moved mechanically through fabric after fabric. Orders piled high on her desk, wedding gowns, christening dresses, celebration suits, each carrying someone else's joy while her own happiness remained elusive. You may recognize yourself in Virginia's struggle. Like her, you might find yourself caught in an endless cycle of doing, believing that completion lies just one achievement away. Yet the universe whispers a different truth. One evening, as Virginia set down her needle between projects, an unfamiliar sensation washed over her. In that brief pause, she noticed the empty space between her breaths, the quiet between her thoughts. There, in that sacred interval, she discovered what had been missing, not more work, but the thread of joy itself. This revelation carries ancient wisdom. Detachment is not surrender, but the art of creating space for divine timing. When you release your grip on outcomes, you allow the universe to weave its perfect pattern, like a tapestry that requires both thread and space to form its design. Your desires need room to manifest. The law of stillness teaches that between every desire and its fulfillment lies a holy pause, a space where the soul expands and divine timing aligns. This space is not empty, but pregnant with potential. Owen, a writer in a distant city, had filled countless chapters with forced words, seeking inspiration through sheer will. His breakthrough came not through searching, but in the moment he set down his pen. Walking through a morning garden, thinking of nothing at all, the stories he had chased for so long suddenly flowed through him like a spring river. This truth echoes through the ages. What you seek often arrives in the space between seeking. The universe responds not to your grasp, but to your release. Each time you feel the urgent pull of desire tightening around your heart, remember Virginia's thread and Owen's pen. When urgency rises within you, pause. Take a deep breath and speak these words aloud. Let it come when it's ready. This practice, ancient in its simplicity, creates a channel through which the universe can flow. In that holy pause between wanting and receiving, you align with the natural rhythm of manifestation. This practice carries the power to transform your relationship with desire itself. Each time you pause and release, you strengthen your trust in divine timing. The space you create becomes sacred ground where miracles take root. Like a master gardener who knows when to plant and when to wait, you learn to honor the seasons of manifestation. In that holy surrender, you discover that your deepest longings are already known to the universe, held safely in the infinite wisdom that orchestrates all things. Your role is not to force the flower to bloom, but to prepare the soil and trust in the ancient rhythms of growth. Chapter 12. Surrender as Supreme Strategy. Through the windows of her corner office, Sylvia watched the city pulse with endless motion. Her desk overflowed with case files, each representing another rung on the ladder of success she had been climbing for 15 years. The weight of perpetual striving had carved deep lines around her eyes, yet she pushed forward, believing control was power. You know this drive well, the eternal reaching for what lies just beyond your grasp. Like Sylvia, you may have built your life around the illusion that through sheer force of will, you can bend reality to your desires. When exhaustion finally broke through her defenses, Sylvia found herself unable to rise from bed one morning. In that forced stillness, something extraordinary occurred. As the hours passed without her constant doing, the world did not collapse. Instead, she witnessed how life continued to flow, bringing solutions she had never conceived while struggling to control every outcome. This truth lies at the heart of spiritual mastery. Surrender is not defeat. It is alignment with the infinite intelligence that orchestrates galaxies. When you release your grip on life's steering wheel, you allow yourself to be carried by currents far more powerful than your own effort. In a quiet town, Clarence faced the depths of grief after losing his beloved wife. For months, he fought against the pain, trying to schedule and manage his healing. But peace eluded him until the day he stopped resisting. In letting his tears flow freely, in allowing himself to be carried by the river of grief rather than swimming against it, he discovered that joy had not abandoned him. It was waiting on the other side of surrender. This ancient wisdom speaks to the very essence of manifestation. What you resist persists. What you embrace transforms. The universe responds not to your struggle, but to your trust. In releasing control, you open yourself to possibilities your striving mind could never conceive. The practice of surrender awaits you now. Take paper and pen and write your surrender script. List everything you are trying to control, every outcome you grip tightly, every situation you push against. Then, speaking each item aloud, release it with these words: I no longer hold this. Universe, it is yours. In this sacred act of letting go, you align with the great flow of life itself. For it is not in the grasping, but in the releasing that your true power emerges. Like a river that cannot be held in cupped hands, the energy of manifestation flows most freely when you cease trying to contain it. Trust that the universe's wisdom far exceeds the limited understanding of your earthly mind, and in surrendering your need for control, you paradoxically gain access to forces far greater than your own. Chapter 13. Time Bends to the Still. In a remote mountain village, Timothy stood bewildered before the town square where a clock tower should have been. His pocket watch had stopped, and not a single timepiece could be found in this peculiar place. For a man who had spent 30 years orchestrating schedules down to the minute, this void of measurement brought forth an unfamiliar anxiety. You too may recognize this attachment to time, the constant checking of watches, the racing thoughts of deadlines, the belief that life must conform to your calendar. Yet in this seeming disruption lies a gateway to the eternal now, where manifestation flows unbound by mechanical constraints. As Timothy's resistance melted, he witnessed something extraordinary. Without the tyranny of minutes and hours, experiences expanded and contracted according to their natural rhythm. In this spaciousness, he received news that the position he had chased for years had opened unexpectedly, finding him precisely when he had ceased pursuing it. The universe operates not by your schedules, but through divine timing. When you release your grip on when things must happen, you enter a state of grace where manifestation accelerates paradoxically through your willingness to wait. June, an artist known for her swift brushstrokes, faced a similar lesson when a prestigious gallery demanded a collection within impossible deadlines. Rather than forcing creativity through time constraints, she declined, choosing instead to paint without watching the clock. In that timeless space, her greatest work emerged, attracting even greater opportunities than the one she had released. Your creations, like June's paintings, arise not from the pressure of time, but from alignment with the eternal. In stillness, you transcend chronological time, chronos, and enter sacred time, kairos, where a moment can hold eternity, and eternity can collapse into a moment. Sacred practice, the timeless hour. Choose one sacred hour each week to enter timeless presence, stepping beyond the bounds of measured moments. Remove all clocks from view, silence all devices, and create a space free from temporal markers that fragment your consciousness. Draw the curtains if needed, allowing natural light to be your only connection to the passing day. Simply be, without measuring or managing the moments that flow through your awareness. Notice how reality shifts when you cease dividing experience into units of time. How the eternal now expands to embrace you fully. Feel how your breath deepens, your thoughts settle, and your spirit awakens to the infinite possibility that exists beyond chronological constraints. Let the universe reveal its own perfect timing through your surrender to the eternal now, trusting that divine wisdom knows precisely when each revelation, inspiration, and manifestation should unfold. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Sacred Inactivity of Nature. In the depths of a centuries-old forest, Beatrice knelt beside a patch of wild orchids, her scientific instruments scattered around her. For decades she had measured, analyzed, and documented nature's patterns, believing that understanding meant control. Yet on this day, as sunlight filtered through ancient branches, wisdom dawned in unexpected silence. You see, the greatest revelations often emerge not from study, but from surrender. The forest holds secrets that numbers cannot capture, truths that emerge only when calculation ceases and observation begins. Through stillness, Beatrice discovered what generations of scientists had overlooked, that nature's most profound growth occurs in moments of apparent inaction. The forest floor regenerates beneath fallen leaves. Seeds germinate in darkness. Roots extend in silent soil. All without intervention, all in perfect time. This law of sacred inactivity governs not just the natural world, but the realm of manifestation itself. Just as trees shed their leaves without resistance, you too must learn the art of releasing what no longer serves. Just as the earth rests beneath winter snow, your dreams require seasons of quiet gestation. Paul, a gardener in a distant valley, encountered this truth through an aging apple tree that had ceased to bear fruit. Despite every intervention, pruning, fertilizing, protecting, the tree remained barren. Only when he finally stepped back, allowing the tree its natural rhythm, did transformation occur. Months later, in its own time, the tree burst forth with more blossoms than ever before. Your desires are like Paul's tree. They do not yield to force but flourish in freedom. The universe operates through cycles of activity and rest, expansion and contraction. By honoring these rhythms within yourself, you align with the natural order of creation. Each day, nature offers you this teaching. Find a quiet space beneath the sky or tree. Observe without analysis. Notice how the wind moves leaves without effort, how flowers open without strain, how birds soar on currents they trust but cannot see. In your journal, record what you witness in these moments of pure presence. What speaks to you through nature's silent wisdom? What patterns in your own life mirror these natural cycles? This practice connects you to the ancient rhythm that governs all creation, the sacred dance of doing and being, seeking and surrendering, acting and allowing. Through nature's mirror, you will recognize your own seasons of necessary stillness. Like the moon waxing and waning, like the tide's eternal ebb and flow, you too must honor these cycles of activity and rest. When you attune yourself to this primordial wisdom, you discover that progress isn't always measured in motion. Sometimes the deepest growth happens in moments of sacred pause, in the quiet spaces between your thoughts and actions. Through nature's reflection, you learn to trust these periods of apparent inaction, knowing they are as vital to your journey as the times of dynamic movement. Chapter 15. The Practice of Sacred Stillness. In a dimly lit corner of an ancient library, Eleanor's fingers traced the spines of forgotten volumes. Between two dust-covered tomes, she discovered a manuscript bound in weathered leather. As she opened it, her breath caught. Every page was blank, yet somehow radiant with possibility. You too stand at the threshold of such a discovery. Like Eleanor, you hold in your hands not words, but portals to the infinite. The empty chapters mirror the sacred void within you, where all wisdom already dwells. The universe speaks most clearly through silence. Each blank page in Eleanor's manuscript taught more than volumes of written wisdom, for in that emptiness lay the pure potential of creation itself. The absence of words created space for direct communion with Source. Through Stillness, you access this same manuscript written in the language of spirit. Your body becomes the sacred text, your breath the holy words, your presence the prayer. Milton discovered this truth in the hours before dawn. Each morning he would sit in his garden, asking nothing, seeking nothing, simply being. In that space between night and day, guidance flowed not through thoughts or words, but through the silence itself. The universe spoke in wavelengths of pure knowing. The practice of sacred stillness transforms your entire being into a receptor for divine wisdom. Like the blank chapters of Eleanor's manuscript, you become an empty vessel through which truth can flow unobstructed. This is not meditation as you know it. This is ancient remembrance, a return to your original state of pure receptivity. Your practice awaits. Find a space that calls to your soul. As the first light touches the horizon, seat yourself with spine erect, as though an invisible thread draws you heavenward. Close your eyes and allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. For 11 minutes, become the blank page, empty of thought, full of potential. Let each breath write its wisdom in the book of your being. This is not an exercise in doing, but in allowing. The universe will fill your emptiness with its presence, just as light fills a dark room simply by being itself. This practice carries the power of countless dawn silences before you. Through it, you join the lineage of those who have discovered that the deepest wisdom requires no words, only the courage to be still and receive. Like the ancient sages who sat in temple courtyards and mountain caves, you too will find that silence speaks volumes when the mind grows quiet. In these sacred moments of stillness, you become one with the eternal stream of consciousness that has guided seekers throughout the ages, touching the very essence of universal truth. Chapter 16. The Parable of the Sleeping King. In the annals of forgotten wisdom lies the tale of King Edward, whose reign marked the greatest prosperity his kingdom had ever known. Yet this sovereign achieved magnificence through an art long lost to time, the art of sacred stillness. Each morning Edward would ascend his golden throne and simply be. No proclamations left his lips, no commands echoed through his halls. In perfect stillness he sat, embodying the divine order that flows when human will steps aside. His presence alone guided the kingdom, for he had discovered the highest truth, that power lies not in doing, but in being. You too hold this sovereign power within. Like Edward, your state of being orchestrates reality far more potently than any action. When you rest in the silence of your own presence, life arranges itself in perfect order around you. The universe responds not to your movements, but to your vibration. In stillness, you emit the frequency of trust, and creation itself bends to support your unspoken intentions. This is the metaphysical law that Edward's reign exemplified, that peace leads more powerfully than force. Agnes, a modern executive, discovered this truth through unexpected means. When illness confined her to bed for a week, she watched in amazement as her business not only survived but thrived without her constant intervention. In forced stillness, she witnessed the natural intelligence that operates when human striving ceases. You need not wait for illness to embrace this wisdom. Your kingdom, your life, flourishes most when you step back and allow divine intelligence to work through you. Like Edward on his throne, your role is not to control but to hold space through presence. The sacred practice awaits. Choose one morning each week for complete non-doing. As the sun rises, resist the urge to plan, organize, or accomplish. For 2 full hours, simply be. Eat if hungry, rest if tired, move if called, but attached to no agenda. Let life flow through you without interference. In these hours you become the sleeping king, allowing your kingdom to reveal its own perfect order. This is not laziness, it is spiritual surrender at its highest form. Through this practice, you align with the cosmic current that has orchestrated galaxies long before human plans existed. In doing nothing, you do everything, for you become one with the power that moves worlds. Like the ancient sages who understood the paradox of effortless action, you tap into a force far greater than mortal striving. By releasing the grip of constant doing, you allow the infinite intelligence that spins planets and blooms flowers to work its magic through your being. In these moments of sacred surrender, you transcend the illusion of personal control and merge with the divine flow that has guided creation since time immemorial. Chapter 17. From Striving to Synchronicity. In a small workshop on the edge of town, Joe spent 20 years trying to force open the doors of opportunity. Each morning he would rise before dawn, working tirelessly to expand his repair shop into something greater. His hands grew calloused from gripping too tightly to his dreams, his mind weary from plotting every possible path to success. Yet the more he pushed, the more life seemed to resist. Every carefully laid plan fell short. Every calculated move led to another dead end. The universe appeared deaf to his demands, blind to his striving. You see, Joe had yet to learn what you are discovering now, that the universe operates not through force but through frequency. His breakthrough came on an ordinary Tuesday when, exhausted from decades of trying, he finally let go. "I surrender," he whispered to the empty workshop. "Whatever is meant for me will find me." The very next morning, a luxury car dealership called. They needed an expert mechanic to head their service department, the exact opportunity Joe had been chasing all along. In his surrender, he had shifted into alignment with what was already waiting. This truth echoes through the story of Hannah, whose heart yearned to perform on stage. For years, she served tables while auditioning relentlessly, each rejection cutting deeper than the last. One evening, after another failed attempt, she released her grip on the dream. "If it's meant to be, it will be," she breathed, and truly meant it. 3 days later, while serving coffee, she overheard 2 producers discussing their struggle to cast the lead in their upcoming production. Without trying, without reaching, Hannah found herself in conversation with them. By week's end, she had the role she'd always imagined. You hold this same power of surrender. When you release your white-knuckled grip on outcomes, you enter the flow of divine timing. Your stillness becomes a magnet, attracting aligned opportunities that no amount of striving could reach. The universe orchestrates with an intelligence far beyond human planning. It sees the complete tapestry of existence, weaving together threads you cannot yet perceive. Your role is not to force the pattern, but to rest in trust, allowing divine timing to work through you. Sacred practice. Begin a synchronicity journal to track the divine orchestration at work in your life. Each evening, record the moments where life aligned effortlessly, the perfect timing of a chance meeting, the unexpected solution that appeared when you stopped searching, the opportunity that found you in stillness. Note how doors opened without force, how the right person crossed your path at precisely the right moment, how inspiration arrived in the quiet spaces between thoughts. As you document these sacred alignments, patterns will emerge, teaching you the profound wisdom of surrendered presence. Your journal becomes a living testament to the universe's infinite capacity to weave magic through your life when you release resistance and trust in divine timing. Chapter 18. Faith is found in the silence. In the heart of a small chapel, young Ruth stood before her congregation, her carefully prepared sermon dissolving into silence. As she opened her mouth to speak, no words emerged, yet something far more powerful filled the space. You see, in that moment of apparent emptiness, the divine presence descended like a gentle mist. The silence spoke volumes that words could never capture. Tears began to flow, first from one congregant, then another, until the entire room was wrapped in a sacred stillness that touched souls more deeply than any sermon could have. This is the paradox you now encounter, that true faith requires no words to prove its existence. When you release the need to fill space with sound, you create room for the universe to speak directly to the heart. This is not the absence of connection, but rather its purest form. In stillness, faith becomes not a concept to be explained, but a presence to be experienced. Consider George, who found himself adrift in vast waters, no shoreline in sight. His maps had failed him, his compass lost. Yet in that moment of complete surrender, he looked up to find the stars had been guiding him all along. The very emptiness that threatened to overwhelm him became the space where his deepest faith emerged. You too are navigating waters of uncertainty. Like George, you may feel far from familiar shores, but in this moment, you are invited to trust what cannot be seen. The universe speaks most clearly when you stop trying to direct its voice, and true faith does not require constant affirmation or endless prayer. It lives in the quiet acceptance that even when you cannot see the path, it unfolds beneath your feet. When you embrace silence as your teacher, you discover that faith was never about knowing the way, it was about trusting the journey. Sacred practice. As darkness settles each night, create a sacred space of pure trust within your heart. Choose a quiet corner where you can be undisturbed, perhaps lighting a single candle to symbolize your connection to the divine. Speak these words once with intention and reverence: I trust the unseen. Then allow yourself to rest in 5 minutes of complete silence, letting your breath become your anchor to the present moment. Let go of the need to fill this space with thoughts or prayers. Release all expectations of what should happen or how you should feel. Simply be present with the infinite wisdom that moves beyond words, knowing that in stillness the universe speaks most clearly. In this practice, you align with the deepest current of faith, one that requires no proof, no validation, only surrender to the eternal flow of divine guidance that has always been there waiting for you to listen. Chapter 19. The Mirror of the Universe. In the dimly lit darkroom of her studio, Matilda stood frozen, watching an image emerge from emptiness. Her hands trembled slightly as she held the photograph paper in the developer solution. Each time she moved, even slightly, the image blurred. Only in perfect stillness did the picture reveal itself with crystal clarity. Through this sacred art of patience, you too will discover that life develops its images in much the same way. When your inner waters are disturbed by constant motion, the reflection of your desires appears distorted. Yet when you allow yourself to become still, the universe begins to show you pictures of extraordinary clarity. Your vibrational essence creates ripples in the cosmic mirror. In moments of agitation, life reflects back chaos. In periods of peace, it returns harmony. This is not metaphor, but metaphysical law. The outer world must reflect your inner state with perfect precision. Consider Roger, who faced the biggest fight of his career. Hours before entering the ring, he sat in meditation, eyes closed, breath steady. As his mind grew still, a profound truth emerged. His opponent was not the man he would face, but the fear dancing in his own heart. In that silence, he saw how every punch thrown would be meeting his own reflection. When you cultivate inner stillness, you polish the mirror through which life reflects your essence. Your relationships become clearer. Your path grows more distinct. Even challenges reveal themselves as teachers rather than obstacles. This is the power of aligned silence. It allows you to see what has always been there, waiting to be recognized. The universe operates with flawless precision, always showing you exactly what you are emanating. In turbulence, you see chaos. In peace, you witness grace. The choice of reflection has always been yours. Sacred practice. The mirror meditation. Find a quiet space with a mirror. Sit comfortably before it, allowing your breath to find its natural rhythm. For 3 minutes, gaze softly into your own eyes. Do not analyze or judge what you see. Simply observe. Notice the thoughts that arise, the emotions that surface, the subtle shifts in your energy. This practice reveals the true mirror of your being, showing you exactly what you are projecting into the universe. Chapter 20. When you step back, life steps in. In the quiet corners of life where mothers' hearts beat with endless worry, Margaret's story whispers an ancient truth. Each morning she woke before dawn, researching solutions, making calls, arranging tutors, anything to help her struggling son. Yet with every intervention, every carefully crafted plan, he seemed to withdraw further into himself. You see, the universe operates through a principle so subtle that most overlook it entirely. When you grasp too tightly, you restrict the very flow meant to bring healing. Margaret discovered this truth one exhausted evening when, tears streaming down her face, she finally released her grip on the situation. "I surrender," she whispered to the stars. "I trust in something greater than my own efforts." In the space created by her surrender, something remarkable unfolded. Her son, no longer feeling the weight of her anxiety, began to find his own way. Like a flower finally given room to grow, he started reaching toward the light at his own pace, in his own time. This mirrors the deepest truth of manifestation. Space allows grace. When you step back from what you're trying to force into being, you create a vacuum that the universe naturally fills with solutions far beyond your imagination. Consider Alvin, whose architectural masterpiece had become a monument to frustration. For months, he struggled with an impossible design challenge, his drawings becoming increasingly complex and confused. One day, overwhelmed, he simply walked away from his drafting table. In that space of surrender, a visiting colleague glanced at his work and casually suggested a solution so elegant it seemed to have been waiting there all along. The universe operates most powerfully in the spaces you leave open. Your constant effort, though well-intentioned, can become a barrier to the very miracles you seek to create. When you release your grip on outcomes, you allow divine intelligence to work through channels you never could have orchestrated. Sacred practice. Create your sacred stop list. Take a quiet moment with paper and pen. Write down 3 areas of your life where you feel yourself pushing, forcing, or over-controlling. Perhaps it's a relationship, a project, or a long-held dream. Commit to stepping back from these areas for 7 days, not abandoning them, but creating space for divine intervention. Each morning, Acknowledge these areas and consciously release them to universal wisdom. Watch how life begins to breathe in the spaces you create. Part 3, Mastery Through Surrender. Chapter 21. You are the quiet creator. In the heart of a village where time seemed to move more slowly, there lived a seamstress named Helen, whose fingers knew the language of thread and cloth. Yet it was not her skillful stitches that worked magic, it was the silence in which she worked. With each garment that passed through her hands, she offered a wordless blessing, a quiet intention woven into every seam. You may wonder how such simple acts could alter the fabric of reality. The answer lies in a truth as old as creation itself. It is not the volume of your intention that shapes your world, but the clarity of your vibration. Helen never spoke of transformation, never proclaimed her power. She simply held each piece in sacred stillness, allowing divine energy to flow through her hands and into her work. Those who wore her garments began to notice subtle shifts in their lives. A dress blessed with joy brought unexpected laughter to its wearer. A coat stitched with peace somehow eased its owner's troubled mind. The villagers couldn't explain these changes, but they felt them deeply. This exemplifies the stillness law's most potent aspect. Thought becomes form not through force, but through frequency. When you align your energy in quiet certainty, reality shapes itself around your vibration without struggle or strain. Consider Levi, whose farm had known better days. For years he pushed against the soil, demanding it yield more, work harder, produce faster. But abundance remained elusive until the day he changed his approach. Instead of forcing the land to bend to his will, he began walking his fields in gratitude each morning. No demands, no desperate prayers, just quiet appreciation for what was already there. As weeks passed, something shifted. The soil seemed to soften beneath his feet. Seeds sprouted with unexpected vigor. The land responded not to his previous demands, but to his present peace. His crop yield doubled, then tripled, though he worked less than ever before. Through Helen's needle and Levi's footsteps, you glimpse the same truth. Quiet inner certainty holds more creative power than all your outer efforts combined. The universe responds not to volume, but to vibration, not to push, but to presence. Sacred practice. Each morning, as the world still dreams, find a moment of pure stillness. In this space, hold one clear desire in your mind, not as a desperate wish, but as a calm knowing. See it with crystal clarity, feel it as already manifest, then release it completely to the universe. Make no moves to force it into being. Simply maintain your clear, quiet vibration and allow the stillness law to work through you. Like Helen's blessed garments and Levi's grateful walks, let your still intention ripple out into the fabric of creation. Chapter 22. The Alchemy of Emptiness. In a small cottage at the edge of town lived Opal, a widow whose rooms had become a labyrinth of memories. Each corner held remnants of her past life, photographs frozen in time, trinkets gathering dust, drawers stuffed with forgotten treasures. The weight of these possessions pressed upon her spirit until one morning, standing in her crowded living room, something within her broke free. You see, the universe speaks through our deepest impulses. In that moment of clarity, Opal began to empty her home. Not with careful sorting or measured decisions, but with the raw courage of one who finally understands that holding on is heavier than letting go. She opened windows, cleared shelves, and released decades of accumulation into the waiting world. What appeared as chaos was actually sacred alchemy in motion, for in creating emptiness, you create possibility. This truth echoes through the ages, Nature abhors a vacuum, and the universe rushes to fill empty spaces with fresh energy. As Opal's home breathed its first clear breath in years, new life began flowing in. A chance encounter led to unexpected romance. A business opportunity emerged from a newly cleared desk. The space she created became a magnetic field for abundance. The law of stillness teaches that emptiness is not an absence, it is presence in its purest form. Like the space between musical notes that gives melody its power, or the pause between breaths that sustains life, sacred emptiness holds infinite potential. Consider Everett, who stood before his blank canvas day after day, resisting the urge to fill it with hasty strokes. Others questioned his empty easel, but he understood that true creation requires patience. For weeks, the canvas remained white until one night, in dreams, a vision appeared so clear it took his breath away. The next morning, he painted his masterpiece in a single sitting, not through effort, but through allowing. Within you lies this same creative power. When you release what no longer serves, you make room for what awaits. Empty spaces in your life are not voids to be filled, but sacred vessels preparing to receive. The universe cannot pour new wine into full cups. Sacred practice. Each day, choose one thing to release. It might be a physical object that no longer reflects who you are becoming, or a thought that keeps you tethered to old stories. Hold it in your hands or your awareness, thank it for its service, and let it go. Do not rush to fill the space it leaves behind. Instead, feel the lightness, the possibility, the sacred emptiness that remains. Trust that this space is not empty at all. It is pregnant with potential, awaiting the perfect moment to reveal what comes next. Chapter 23. Letting the Universe Do the Work. In the quiet workshop of a seasoned craftsman, you will find a truth as old as time itself. Stanley, whose hands had shaped wood for 30 years, stood before an unfinished cabinet that had haunted his workspace for months. Each morning he would approach it with renewed determination, yet something always felt missing. The pieces wouldn't align, the joints refused to meet, and the vision in his mind remained stubbornly out of reach. You hold within you this same struggle, the desire to force into being what time has not yet ripened. Like Stanley, you may find yourself pushing against the invisible barrier between intention and manifestation. When Stanley finally stepped away, laying down his tools and surrendering the project to silence, the universe began its hidden work. Within days, his neighbor appeared at his door, carrying an antique woodworking tool passed down through generations. "I thought you might find use for this," the neighbor said, unknowingly delivering the exact instrument Stanley had needed all along. In this sacred law of surrender, you discover that the universe operates with perfect timing. When you release your grip on outcomes, solutions appear as naturally as leaves unfurling in spring. Consider Lydia, whose cherished friendship had grown distant and strained. She tried every method to bridge the widening gap: calls, messages, carefully crafted words of reconciliation. Yet with each attempt, the distance only seemed to grow. It was only when she finally stepped back, allowing space for divine timing, that healing began to flow. In her absence, the friendship found its way back to wholeness, guided by forces beyond her control. These stories mirror the profound truth waiting in your own life. The moment you cease struggling against the current, you align with the river's natural flow. Your surrender becomes an invitation for universal forces to move on your behalf. Practice. When you notice yourself straining to control any situation, pause. Take a deep breath and whisper these words: "Universe, I let you handle it. Let this simple phrase become your gateway to trust, your permission slip for divine intervention. In releasing your grip, you open the channel for miracles to flow. Feel the weight of resistance dissolve as you surrender to a wisdom far greater than your own. Each time you choose to let go, you strengthen your connection to the infinite intelligence that orchestrates the cosmos. Trust that the universe's timing is perfect, its methods mysterious yet masterful, and its care for your highest good unwavering. Chapter 24. The Parable of the Silent Shepherd. High in the ancient mountains, where wisdom whispers through the mist, lived a shepherd named Silas. Unlike other shepherds who called and commanded their flocks, Silas moved in sacred silence. His sheep followed not his voice, but the quiet authority of his presence, drawn to an unseen force that guided them to the sweetest grass and clearest streams. You too carry this power within you. Like Silas, your greatest influence flows not from what you say, but from who you are in stillness. When you align with the silent current of divine wisdom, those around you naturally attune to your frequency. The universe speaks through presence more than proclamation. Each step Silas took resonated with unspoken guidance. Each pause created space for his flock to find their way. Without a single command, his sheep grew stronger, healthier, more attuned to the natural rhythms of the mountain. This truth revealed itself again through Nora, whose classroom transformed when she set aside her lectures. For years, she had filled every moment with instruction, believing her words were the bridge to understanding. But one day, exhausted from speaking, she simply sat and listened. In that space of silence, her students began to blossom. Their innate wisdom emerged, their natural curiosity awakened, and learning deepened beyond what any lesson could achieve. You need not fill the air with words to lead others to truth. Your aligned presence creates a field of transformation more powerful than any sermon or speech. When you rest in the silence of your being, you become a lighthouse, steady, unwavering, illuminating the way through simple presence. Sacred practice, and choose one day to become a silent shepherd of peace. Move through your interactions without offering advice or correction. Instead, maintain complete presence, listening deeply, holding space, allowing others to find their way in the light of your attention. Notice how your quiet presence affects the energy around you, how others respond to the unspoken wisdom you carry. This is the power of energetic influence, the art of leading through being rather than doing. Chapter 25. Your stillness is your signal. In the depths of a quiet radio station, Victor spent his nights fine-tuning frequencies. For years he believed stronger signals required more power, more amplification, more doing. Night after night, he increased the volume, added more equipment, yet the transmission remained unclear. Until one evening when the power failed, leaving him in complete silence. In that moment of forced stillness, he noticed something extraordinary. The faintest signals, previously drowned out by his efforts, became crystal clear. The less interference he created, the more precise the reception grew. Through this revelation, Victor discovered the fundamental law of spiritual frequencies. Clarity emerges not from force, but from stillness. You too are a receiver and transmitter of universal frequencies. Your desires, dreams, and intentions are signals you send into the cosmic field. Yet, like Victor, you may have believed that manifesting requires more effort, more action, more noise. The truth lies in the opposite direction. When you still your mind, release resistance, and align your inner frequency with pure intention, the universe responds with perfect clarity. Your spiritual signal becomes unmistakable, not because you shout louder, but because you've eliminated the static of doubt, worry, and excessive effort. This truth revealed itself through young Millie, who had grown weary of speaking her prayers aloud. One evening, she simply sat in silence, her heart full of unspoken yearning. Before words could form on her lips, she felt an answer settling into her soul, a response to the quiet certainty of her being rather than the volume of her request. Your stillness speaks volumes to the universe. When you quiet the noise of trying, pushing, and forcing, your true frequency shines through. Like a clear night sky reveals distant stars, your inner silence allows the universe to hear your heart's deepest call. Sacred practice. Find a patch of earth where you can stand barefoot, connecting your physical being to the ancient wisdom that flows through soil and stone. Place one hand over your heart and allow yourself to become still, feeling the steady rhythm that beats in harmony with the universe itself. Without words, without effort, simply radiate gratitude for what you know is already making its way to you. Feel this truth resonating in every cell of your body, every breath you take. Let your silent certainty become the clearest signal you've ever sent, pure and uncluttered by doubt, reaching across the cosmos like a beacon of unwavering faith. In this sacred moment of communion, you become a living bridge between heaven and earth. Chapter 26. You already have it all. In a village where dreams whispered through narrow streets, David spent his days searching distant lands for treasure. He crossed deserts, scaled mountains, and sailed seas, each journey fueled by the certainty that abundance lay somewhere beyond the horizon. For 20 years he wandered, following maps and rumors, while his own home gathered dust. You, like David, may have searched endlessly for what you believe is missing, yet the universe holds a sacred truth. What you seek has never left you. One autumn evening, weary from his travels, David finally returned home. As he sat in his garden, watching the sunset paint the sky, his spade struck something solid. Beneath decades of accumulated soil lay a chest of gold, precisely the treasure he had spent his life pursuing. This truth echoes through the ages. Everything you desire already exists within your sphere. What appears as absence is merely a forgotten presence. The universe does not withhold, it simply waits for you to remember. Consider Ethel, who spent years in therapy, seeking to heal what she thought was broken. She tried countless methods, traveled to healers, read endless books. Until one morning, gazing at her reflection, she saw through the illusion. Her worth had never been damaged. It had simply been buried beneath layers of false beliefs. In that moment of recognition, she remembered her inherent wholeness. You carry within you every treasure you have ever sought. Abundance is not a distant shore, but the ground beneath your feet. Love is not a future arrival, but a present reality. Peace is not a destination, but your natural state. The journey was never about finding. It was always about remembering. When you understand this truth, seeking transforms into allowing. Striving becomes remembering. The endless search ends where it began, within you. Sacred practice. Stand before your mirror each morning. Look deeply into your own eyes, these windows to your eternal soul. In that sacred moment of connection, speak silently to yourself these words: I have it already. Let this truth sink beneath the surface of thought, into the soil of being. For in this recognition, you align with what has never left you. Remain in this contemplation for several breaths, allowing your reflection to dissolve the illusion of separation between seeker and sought. Feel the power of your own presence, the living embodiment of all you desire. This mirror practice awakens the dormant knowing within, transforming the glass before you into a portal of self-discovery. Through this daily ritual, you remember that abundance flows not from without, but wells up from the infinite spring of your own being. Chapter 27. Trusting the Pause. In the heart of a bustling city lived Henry, a violinist whose fingers had danced across strings since childhood. When his most promising contract dissolved without warning, he found himself suspended in unexpected silence. You know this feeling when life seems to close a door you were certain would open, yet within this apparent void, a deeper wisdom was at work. As you will discover, what appears as obstruction often serves as redirection from the universe itself. In those quiet weeks that followed, Henry discovered something extraordinary. Without the pressure of performance, his hands began to move differently across the violin. Notes flowed not from obligation, but from pure inspiration. In this sacred pause, a melody emerged that had waited years to be heard. You see, the universe operates not on your timeline, but through divine orchestration. When you surrender to its rhythm, magnificent possibilities unfold that your limited vision could never have conceived. The piece Henry composed in that forced stillness became his masterwork, touching hearts in ways his planned performances never could have. Through him, you learn that delay is not denial. It is the universe's way of preparing greater gifts. Consider Louise, whose cherished bakery closed due to circumstances beyond her control. During those empty months while her ovens grew cold, she discovered ancient recipes in her grandmother's journal. When her doors reopened, these forgotten treasures transformed her simple shop into a landmark of culinary artistry. You too stand in such moments of pause. What appears as interruption carries the seeds of transformation. The universe never stops working on your behalf, even in the quiet, especially in the quiet. Sacred practice. Begin a divine delay journal. When plans falter or doors seem to close, write not of frustration but of faith. Ask yourself, what greater good might be preparing itself in this pause? Record each delay as a sacred appointment with destiny, trusting that the universe's timing surpasses your own. Let your words become witnesses to the wisdom unfolding in the waiting. In these chapters, document the subtle signs and synchronicities that appear during periods of apparent standstill. Notice how certain encounters, insights, or opportunities arise precisely because time has slowed your intended course. Each evening, reflect on what the day has taught you about divine timing. Consider how past delays in your life eventually revealed their purpose, and let these memories strengthen your trust in the present pause. And remember, your journal is more than a record. It is a living testament to the universe's perfect orchestration. Through your written reflections, transform every waiting period into a sacred space of preparation, knowing that what appears as resistance today may be laying the foundation for tomorrow's miracle. Chapter 28. The Womb of the Void. In the depths of night, Florence stood in the birthing room, her heart quickening at the empty silence. You know this feeling, when anticipation mingled with uncertainty and the void seems to stretch endlessly before you. Yet in that sacred space, Florence discovered what you too will come to understand. Emptiness holds infinite possibility. The universe speaks through silence, and in those quiet moments before new life emerges, Florence learns to trust the unseen orchestration of creation. You see, The void is not empty. It is pregnant with potential, waiting to birth whatever you have called forth through your alignment. When you stand before apparent emptiness, remember that all of creation begins in darkness. The seed sprouts beneath black soil, the child forms in the hidden womb, and your desires take shape in the quiet depths of surrender. Franklin, a brilliant mind tormented by unfinished innovations, spent years forcing ideas into being. You may recognize this pattern in yourself: the striving, the mental strain, the belief that creation requires constant activity. Yet his breakthrough came only when he released his grip on invention. One evening, sitting in his workshop with hands finally still, Franklin allowed himself to become empty. In that space of pure receptivity, the solution he had chased for so long simply arose, fully formed, elegant, and far beyond what his striving mind could have conceived. This is the way of the universe. It fills what is empty, creates through surrender, and delivers its gifts to the quiet heart. You need not force manifestation. Your role is to become the void itself, the sacred space through which creation flows. As you sit in darkness each evening, letting go of all you think you know, you join the ancient dance of creation. 7 minutes of pure being, no light, no thought, no doing. Here in this void, you become one with the source of all manifestation. This practice aligns you with the universe's own creative principle. From stillness, all things emerge. From emptiness, all forms arise. From surrender, all desires manifest. Like the sacred void before creation, you become the womb of possibility itself. In your darkness and silence, you mirror the infinite potential that exists before manifestation. This is the ancient secret known to mystics and sages, that creation does not spring from struggle or strain, but from the depths of perfect stillness. When you embrace this truth, you unlock the universe's boundless capacity to fulfill your deepest aspirations. Chapter 29. Living the Stillness Law. In the quiet corners of a small town lives George, a retired mechanic whose presence carries the weight of ancient wisdom. You might pass him on the street and notice nothing remarkable, just an elderly man tending his simple garden or sitting on his worn wooden bench. Yet those who draw near feel something shift in the air around him, as if reality itself bends toward peace in his presence. Through decades of fixing engines, George learned that machines, like life itself, often repair themselves when given space. Now, in his retirement, he has distilled this wisdom into pure being. You see, he no longer tries to manifest or attract. He simply is, and in that being, miracles bloom like wildflowers in his wake. The universe responds not to what you do, but to what you have become. George embodies this truth without speaking it. When neighbors bring him their troubles, he offers no advice, only his steady presence. Yet they leave transformed, their problems often resolving mysteriously in the days that follow. This is the stillness law in its purest form. When you cease trying to be a force in the universe, you become a channel through which it flows. Consider Janice, who once filled notebooks with affirmations and vision boards. Now she walks through life in quiet certainty, having learned that manifestation requires no management. Her desires unfold naturally like leaves turning toward sunlight. She has discovered what you too are remembering, that you are not the doer, but the space through which doing happens. This is the culmination of all you have learned. Stillness is not something you practice, but something you become. It is the natural state of a soul aligned with universal flow. When you fully embody this truth, you no longer need techniques or tools. Your very presence becomes a silent prayer. Your being becomes a beacon, calling forth all that is meant for you. The sacred vow you are about to write marks this transition from seeking to being. Take a moment now to sit in silence. Let the words rise from your depths, not from thought, but from the still waters of your soul. Write a single sentence that captures your commitment to living as stillness itself. Place this vow upon your altar, not as a goal to achieve, but as a reminder of what you already are. This vow becomes your anchor, a physical testament to your alignment with the stillness law. It stands as a bridge between practice and embodiment, between doing and being. Through this simple act, you declare your readiness to walk the earth as George does, as one who knows that true power lies not in action, but in presence. Chapter 30. The Sacred Receiving. In the depths of an ancient healing tradition, wisdom flows not through effort, but through surrender. You stand now at the threshold of the final teaching, one that will complete your journey into the stillness law. Dorothy, wise in years and grace, sits with her apprentice in the soft light of dawn. Her weathered hands rest open on her lap, a living symbol of the truth she embodies. You cannot grasp the sun, she shares. Only open your hands. In this simple gesture lies the culmination of all you have learned. When you release the final thread of control, the universe reveals its greatest secret. Receiving is your natural state. Like a flower turning to face the morning light, your being knows how to accept what is meant for you. No technique is needed, only the courage to remain open. The stillness law reveals itself most purely when you cease all attempts to harness it. In this space of complete trust, abundance flows not because you have mastered manifestation, but because you have remembered who you truly are, a divine receiver, already complete, already whole. Samuel's story mirrors this truth. For years he held tight to one last fear, the belief that without vigilance, everything would fall away. The day he finally released this fear, letting his guard dissolve completely, abundance rushed in like a tide returning to shore. His surrender created an opening through which the universe could pour its gifts. You need not strive to receive what is already yours. The very air you breathe finds you without effort. The sun warms your skin without negotiation. All of life conspires to support you when you step into the grace of allowing. Sacred practice. As the sun rises each morning, sit in quiet reverence for at least 10 minutes. Place your palms upward, empty and open, resting gently on your lap like lotus petals, awaiting the morning dew. Let these words rise naturally from your heart, speaking them with the power of pure intention. I am open. I am ready. I am still. In this gesture of sacred receiving, you acknowledge your true nature as a vessel for divine abundance. Feel the subtle energies gathering around you, responding to your willingness to become a channel through which universal blessings may flow. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. Through these sacred chapters you have uncovered what mystics and sages have known since the dawn of time, that the universe responds not to your doing, but to your being. The ancient wisdom you now hold is not knowledge to be learned, but truth remembered in the depths of your soul. In stepping into stillness, you have awakened to your natural state of receiving. No longer must you chase, grasp, or force your way through life. You have discovered the divine paradox, that in doing nothing, everything is done through you. In being still, all things come to you. This is not a teaching to practice, but a reality to live. Each breath you take in stillness is a prayer. Each moment of surrender is an invocation. Your very presence, when aligned with the stillness law, becomes a beacon calling forth all that is meant for you. Remember, the universe does not require your effort. It awaits your alignment. It does not need your striving. It seeks your surrender. You have learned that manifestation is not about action, but attunement. Not about doing, but being. Not about speaking, but listening. You now carry within you the most powerful force in creation, the ability to be still and know. This knowing is not intellectual, but visceral. It lives in your cells, speaks through your silence, and radiates through your presence. Let this be your new way of walking through the world, as one who understands that stillness is not passive, but the most potent form of power. Your silence is not empty, but full of creative force. Your surrender is not weakness, but the highest form of strength. You have entered into sacred partnership with the universe itself. In this covenant, you need only be still, and all things will be added unto you. This is not a promise, but a law, as certain as gravity. As you move forward, carry this truth. You are not the doer, but the vessel. Not the force, but the field. Not the seeker, but the found. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.